Miley Cyrus, her original smile was so cute and youthful. Now her teeth literally look like one of those little chattering teeth toys. It looks like she put one of those in her mouth. Like, she literally can't close her mouth properly because the chompers are chomping.
Looking at these
industry. Okay, picture it for a second. You're a singer up on stage, thousands of people in front of you, every phone in the air, the whole crowd singing your words right back to you. And then right in the middle of your biggest note, something shifts. Not your voice, not your expression, your actual teeth. That really happened to a country legend in 2025. And don't worry, we are absolutely getting to her tonight because we're counting down 15 stars whose smiles changed so dramatically that fans and even dentists online simply could not stop talking. Music, and honestly, nothing is going to prepare you for number one. Here's the thing most of us never really stop to think about. When a famous person flashes one of those bright, music flawless, camera-ready smiles, we just quietly assume they were born that way. Good genes, lucky them. End of story. But that is almost never the full picture. Music, because behind so many of those smiles is an entire industry pulling the strings. There are casting directors who want that perfect leading man look. There are high-definition cameras catching every tiny flaw. And there's a small handful of celebrity dentists whose work started showing up on face, music, after face until a lot of these smiles slowly began looking strangely, almost eerily identical. So I went digging through old interviews, tabloid stories, viral posts, and breakdowns from dental experts who study this stuff for a living. Music, and what I found are 15 transformations that are part jaw-dropping, part heartbreaking, and honestly a little bit unreal. Some of these stars fixed it, some went viral for all the wrong reasons. And one of them, like I said, happened music, live on stage in front of a roaring crowd. So let's get into it. Chapter 2, Keith Urban. Number 15, Keith, Music Urban. Let's ease in nice and gentle because number 15 is so subtle that a lot of people never even noticed it happen. Music, back in the 90s, Keith Urban had a smile that fit his whole world perfectly with a little gap between his front teeth and a naturally weathered look that felt lived in and real. Exactly what you'd want from an Australian country star with a guitar. But then his career took off in a big way. He was selling out world tours. He was sitting in the judge's chair on American Idol. And in 2006, he married Hollywood royalty. And somewhere along the way, fans started music, noticing that Keith's signature gap had quietly disappeared, replaced by a row of bright, perfectly even teeth. Music, now, his new smile genuinely looks great, and nobody's arguing with that. But dental folks online point to Keith as a textbook example of something that happens a lot in this business. Music, where an artist trades a charming little quirk for that industry's standard symmetry. And here's the part that reads as a touch unreal to some people when that ruler straight flawless alignment sits on a face that has aged naturally. Music, with real lines and real character. Our eyes quietly pick up on the mismatch because human teeth are supposed to music shift and wear over 50 years of living. Country music used to celebrate those rough edges, but music, the polished star machine slowly sanded them off. And at least Keith's change was gradual. The next one, music, flipped almost overnight, right after she swore she'd never touch her teeth. Chapter 3, Jordyn Woods and the Broken Promise. Number 14, Jordyn Woods. Number 14 honestly stung a lot of fans because Jordyn Woods made music them a promise. As a model, an entrepreneur, and Kylie Jenner's longtime best friend, Jordyn built her whole brand on confidence, and her most recognizable feature was the gap between her two front teeth. Back in 2017, when trolls kept telling her to fix it, she fired back with a line that people absolutely loved, saying she would not close her gap just to blend in with the rest of society and that her gap was part of who she was. People held that up as a little anthem for loving your own face. And then, barely a year later, in December of 2018, Jordyn walked into an LA dentist's office and had that gap closed with veneers. The reaction was instant, and a chunk of her fan base felt a little betrayed, filling her comments with questions about what happened to loving the gap that made her her. But I want to be fair to Jordyn here because she pushed back gently, music, and honestly, explaining that she just woke up one morning and decided to do it, that she wanted to try something new and that life is about evolving. It's Jordyn Woods. I'm here at Dr. Cam's office. I discovered music, him on Instagram about 8 years ago, and I'm still here. He's the best. My teeth are amazing, and I wouldn't have gone to anyone else. Music, and really, that one story sums up this whole list. Because when you live your entire life online under that constant pressure to look perfect, even the people who fight hardest against it, music, sometimes feel the pull. Jordan made her choice, and she owned it. The next star went bold for years, and then quietly walked the whole thing back. Chapter 4, Miley Cyrus, and the smile she walked back. Number 13, Miley Cyrus. Music number 13 is a redemption arc, and a lot of you watched it play out in real time. Back in the Hannah Montana days, Miley Cyrus had such an endearing smile, a little gummy, slightly uneven, and bursting with energy. And it matched her whole face in a way that made her feel like someone you actually knew. Then music shed the Disney image, and her smile transformed right along with the rest of her, getting wider, longer, and broader until by the early 2020s, the whole shape of her mouth looked different. Things really came to a head around 2023 and 2024 during big appearances like the Grammys, when fans online started describing the look as bold, almost too much. Music, especially as her features got more sculpted and angular. Dental experts speculated about gum work, and music a full set of veneers. Though Miley herself has never confirmed any of it, so we'll keep music that as speculation. But here's the lovely turn. Through late 2024 and into music 2026, fans noticed her smile soften and look more balanced again. And there's a real conversation online that she had the work refined and music scaled back down, with people happily saying the Hannah Montana smile was back. What we can say for certain is that the public mood has swung hard toward natural music lately, and even the boldest stars are feeling it. Miley dialed it back down. The next one dialed it all the way up in a world where the pressure to keep up never quite lets go. Number 12, Nene Leakes. Number 12 takes us into the world of reality TV, where the pressure to keep up is a whole different animal. Chapter 7, Nicolas Cage. Number 10, Nicolas Music Cage. Number 10 is pure old-school Hollywood, and it is genuinely wild. Early in his career, Nicolas Cage had a smile that matched his whole offbeat electric energy, with a little gap, uneven teeth, and a duller natural color that was honestly part of what made him so strange and watchable. Then came one of the most committed acting choices you will ever hear music about for a film back in 1984, where he played a deeply wounded young man. Cage actually had a couple of his teeth taken out to look the part, the real thing, no movie magic. He later explained that they were baby teeth anyway, and that he figured pulling them would add something interesting to the character. That is Nicolas Cage in a nutshell. But here's the arc that matters. Music. As he became a full-on leading man in the 90s, he had everything rebuilt with new teeth to fill the gaps, bright and gleaming and uniform. And a lot of longtime fans felt that the new perfection actually smoothed over the very edge that made music him so magnetic in the first place. Then it came full circle in the best possible way for his 2023 vampire comedy. The team built special Fong prosthetics that music fit right over his expensive veneers, so he could play a monster without ever touching the real work underneath. By the 90s, the unspoken rule was that every A-lister, music, needed that uniform smile. Cage rebuilt his completely. The next legend spent decades on his, and chose to keep one famous flaw on music, purpose. Chapter 8, Tom Cruise and the famous middle tooth. Number 9, Tom Cruise. Number 9 might just be the most famous smile in movie history, and it's definitely the most fascinating. Music. If you go back to Tom Cruise's early roles, his teeth were genuinely crooked and a little discolored. Music, and for one gritty film in 1983, he reportedly even had a cap taken off a tooth to look rougher for the part. Then came decades of work. He wore visible ceramic braces in his early 40s, debuting them right there on a red carpet, which for a leading man at that level was a seriously bold move. And after that came a full set of bright porcelain veneers. But here's the detail fans have been staring at for years. Music, it's the middle tooth. Because the alignment of his bite never fully centered, Tom has one front tooth that sits almost dead in the center of his music face, right under his nose, instead of two teeth meeting in the middle. And once you notice it, you genuinely cannot unsee it. Now, here's the twist that makes this one so interesting. Top music, dentists actually say that little imperfection is exactly what saves him. And they call it a realism anchor because his teeth are so flawless otherwise that the one slightly off detail is the thing keeping him from looking like a polished robot. Think about that for a second. The most expensive smile in Hollywood works precisely because it held on to one tiny human flaw. Tom kept his on purpose. Music. The next one's smile changed for a reason that had nothing to do with vanity at all. Number 8 got blamed on plastic surgery, but the real story is so much more human than that. You first fell for Zac Efron as the high school musical heartthrob, and his signature back then was a little gap between his front teeth, charming and totally boy next door. Music. He closed that gap early on with braces and likely some veneers to step into grown-up leading roles, which was all pretty normal Hollywood stuff. But then in 2013 came the music part nobody saw coming. Chapter 9. Zac Efron. Number 8. You first fell for Zac Efron as the high school musical heartthrob, and his signature back then was a little gap between his front teeth, charming and totally boy next door. Music. He closed that gap early on with braces and likely some veneers to step into grown-up leading roles, which was all pretty normal Hollywood stuff. But then in 2013 came the music part nobody saw coming. When Zac slipped at home in his socks and badly injured his jaw on a stone fountain. During the long recovery, the muscles along his jaw grew significantly bigger, which dramatically widened the lower half of his face, and that's what led to the viral jaw moment fans' music spotted in 2021. People saw the much wider jaw paired with a row of ultra music, white teeth and instantly assumed he'd had surgery, but Zac set the record straight himself. Music, and he was refreshingly blunt about it, explaining that the jaw muscles had simply grown music and gotten really, really big. On the rumors, he basically shrugged and said his mom told him about them. Music, that he doesn't read the internet, so he doesn't really care. The truth was an accident plus some real dental work to fix his bite afterward, not vanity at all. But that's the trap of fame where every single change becomes a public mystery or forced music to explain. Zac's was an accident. The next one was a literal business decision made by a movie studio. Chapter 10. Ben Affleck. Number. Music 7. Ben Affleck. Number 7 proves just how far this industry will go because Ben Affleck, music, didn't even ask for it. Back in his Good Will Hunting days, his teeth were small, a little uneven, and completely natural. But the studio had a much harsher word for them, calling them baby teeth. So, when Affleck was cast music in the 1998 blockbuster Armageddon, director Michael Bay decided his leading man needed a proper leading man smile. And years, music later, on the film's DVD commentary, Bay said it right out loud that they paid for a set of $20,000 pulley white teeth. According to the story, Affleck sat in that dentist's chair for a full week, 8 hours, music a day, getting an entire smile rebuilt on a deadline. All for a movie. And Affleck, music, himself has confirmed the pressure, saying they made him fix his teeth. Work out. We even got outside backup on this one because years later, Kate Beckinsale shared that when she worked with the same director, Ben actually warned her, telling her they'd made him get new teeth. The wild part is that it worked and those teeth, music, helped turn him into a global A-lister. But it's also the clearest example on this whole list of a smile being treated like nothing more than a movie music prop. That was a grown man and a studio. The next one was a teen idol, a microphone, and a moment that went very wrong. Music live on stage. Chapter 11. Hilary Duff and the microphone. Number 6. Hilary Duff. Number 6 is for all the early 2000s kids because this one really hits home. Hilary Duff was the teen idol Lizzie McGuire herself, and her smile was so relatable, a little uneven and totally natural. The girl next door we all grew up with. She's been open that she was sick a lot as a child and on antibiotics, so her teeth were never the strongest. And that's exactly where the story takes a turn. Hilary kept chipping her teeth on the microphone during shows. And at one performance, she actually lost half of her 2 front teeth right there, music on stage. She got emergency bonding done at 6 o'clock in the morning in a tiny northeastern town, then proper veneers once she got back to LA. And when the press asked her about it, she basically said, "Why music? Is this anyone's business?" Fair enough. But that first set got criticized online for being too big for her face, with people calling them horse teeth, music and piano keys, long and blocky, and a little too bright. And then there's the detail that makes you wince music for her. On her wedding day back in 2010, a tooth came loose as she was getting ready and she burst into tears, then laughed. Music, then burst into tears all over again until a friend of a friend who happened to be a dentist saved the whole day, and she simply said, "Thank God I didn't swallow it." The happy ending is that Hillary later had them redone smaller and softer and more natural, and dentists now point to her as restraint done music, right? Hillary's smile got fixed. The next ones came out in the middle of a bagel. Music 5, Cardi B. Number 5 is, honestly,